Hey, it's Dr. Stephanie here. Um, I'm sitting in my car waiting for my son to get done with the class, so I have a few minutes. And there's a few things that have already come up this week multiple times that have gotten a little under my skin at the just miseducation of people in general and how they're continuing to be told and taught the wrong things. And so they continue to not get the health results that they want for themselves or for their children. So there's been a few things in particular that I feel I've said ad nauseum, and it's only Monday, which is hard to believe because I've said the same thing 47 times, I feel like. Or maybe, no, it's actually Tuesday. Okay, so it's Tuesday. See, that's where I'm at, because I can't even tell because I've repeated myself around genetics, people feeling like they're destined and doomed to have what's in their family, or feeling, well, what's the point? It just runs in the family, so we should just drug ourselves for it. What? Well, okay, so we're going to clear that up in a second. The other thing, it's been a lot of questions, phone calls, emails from even friends, clients, and practice members around issues where ultimately the constant answer I'm giving is about that the answer really is in communication and how the body actually communicates within itself. And so it's about networks of communication, whether I'm talking about a hormonal disruption, gut dysbiosis, dysfunction, an actual brain lobe issue, a coherence issue, something very specific within the brain that I'm explaining in a brain map. So it doesn't matter if it's a hormonal test, someone's symptoms, I'm having the same conversations over and over again. So again, we've gotten DNA, which leads me to communication all the time. Then which leads into, well, if I talk about communication, I'm going to have to talk about microbes. Why? Okay. Which again leads me back to the mitochondria. I'll say, look how excited I got. I love them. And let's start like this. Mitochondria. I did a little thing on it a little while ago because I got my new shirt and I'm super excited. I really shouldn't be that excited about the mitochondria. But here's the thing. They do so many things. We get caught up on saying they give us energy, which they do. The mitochondria, though, are in charge of so much more. So what they are little non-human. I'm completely convinced at this point they are not organelles. They are non-human genetic code. It is a little alien other microbe that developed this really symbiotic relationship with us. We're a host. Every cell in our body is a host for this cell that learned, well, you know what? I can hitch a great ride. Let me do this for you. I'll give you all your energy, human, big human, and everything. I make this thing called ATP. I'm going to crank it out for you. You can just utilize it and not have to worry about anything. I can make everything work for you. And then what I'll do for you on top of that is a number of things. Will control your DNA for you. I will control cancer for you because I'm in charge now. I need this cell to be perfect. I live inside your cell, so it's critical to my life of me and all my little family that this cell stays perfect. If it doesn't, I'm going to ignite what's called apoptosis, which is cell suicide. And I'm going to have us, we'll auto-intoxicate and we're going to go out because I can't have this happening for all my little children and my cousins and everybody else that's living around the body. So the mitochondria give you energy, control how you feel. So much, I can't even get into it, but apoptosis and dealing with cancer control in your body constantly. Why is that important? Well, the thing that the mitochondria are doing are communicating. It's this amazing communication system within your cell that's dependent around a couple key things. A huge thing that it's dependent upon is the health of the cell membranes. And the membrane, there's a membrane that circles the mitochondria. There's a membrane that circles the nucleus, which contains the genetic code, or the DNA, which, by the way, the DNA in and of itself is completely stupid. It is not the brain of the cell. Please stop telling your children. All you elementary school teachers who are reading the textbook that is completely outdated, please stop. It's not what it does. The DNA is nothing. It's a computer that needs a good programmer to come along and tell it what to do. Or it's a warehouse that a programmer has to tell what to do. So you're only as intelligent. The quality of it matters a little bit. Yeah, you need some good. You don't want that many mutations. Blah blah blah. But in general, it's not doing anything on its own. It is told what to do. If the communication of the cell is healthy, you have healthy expression of genetic code. You are not destined to inherit anxiety. You are not destined to inherit Alzheimer's. You are not destined to inherit breast cancer. Stop the nonsense lying and terrifying of patients with that story. The Human Genome Project kind of proved all this already. It was a massive bust. They discovered, shocked them, that human DNA, what's inside there, we only have 22,000 genes in the chromosomes. And earthworm has 48,000. They were like, oh, that's weird. We don't understand. Rice plant has that much practically, more than we do, double. So the DNA, they were like, there's not that many genes in here. How is a human able to do everything they do? It comes down to a communication thing, and I'm going to get to that in a second. But all right, so here we have the cell with this mitochondria that's an extra outside non-human thing. We've got, I don't even know how many, an insane amount of them living everywhere, but the highest concentration being in your brain. Doing a lot of communication, in charge of communication. If those cell membranes become too inflamed, chronically inflamed, that's called chronic inflammation, that has just destroyed the ability of the cell to communicate. So chronic inflammation is at the heart of every disease now. That has become this thing. Oh my gosh, we know it's actually chronic inflammation. What is chronic inflammation? It is a breakdown in cellular communication. It comes down to communication. It comes down to networks of communicating. That's the most important thing. So we've got the mitochondria inside this little outside foreign organism, this little alien that's not parasitic. It's lovely. We need it. Love them. We want to repair them, make lots of them, make them strong, and improve their ability to communicate within the cell. How do we improve their ability to communicate within the cell? We repair cellular damage of that cell membrane in particular. So chronic inflammation is a breakdown in cellular communication at the membrane level. The cell membrane is actually the brain of the cell, not the nucleus. Misnomer. So, step one, back to the mitochondria that I love. Communication is the key. Where's all this other communication? I mentioned we only have 22,000 genes, and an earthworm has 48,000. A rice plant has like 50,000 or something like that. Microbes. Mitochondria is one. I mean, we're kind of confused about it, still calling it an organelle. It's not. We have millions, billion, I don't even know the trillions, the estimate at this point of how many microbes are living on us and in us, right? So their gene code, they provide us with 3.5 million genes that we've discovered now that we actually use on a daily basis for everything. So we became so intelligent trying to figure out how we're going to function in this world and how we're going to be this because we become this dominant species. How do we do that? Not with 22,000 genes. We have basically outsourced most of our functions to all these different microbes that live on and within us, and we utilize them. And they have DNA. This is proven. This is how we do it. This is how efficient we have become. And they are communicating with us. We are communicating with them via transcribing from their RNA everything we need to do, ranging from our immune system to our emotional state to just on and on. It's unbelievable. And remembering, so microbes, bugs are good for us. 98 to 99% of all the microbes out there are beneficial to us. They've kept us alive. We have this incredible symbiotic relationship with nature. And yet we came along with all the antibacterial, kill everything, these few little bugs have given everything a bad name. Everyone's freaked out about E. coli and salmonella, so they pour bleach on their everything. A kid picks up a berry from the floor, and I've seen mothers practically leap over themselves thinking, oh, it's the germs! Yeah. The germs are keeping you alive. So what have we done? We've killed all of them. And we've lost our normal communication networks. And we're seeing all this chronic disease and inflammation and degenerative disorders coming from this major lack of communication that's going on in the body. So, how do we get it back? Okay. One, we need to start with managing our guts. The dysbiosis in the gut, that's the word. Dysbiosis means dysregulated flora, dysregulated environment of the gut. And the word, everybody hears this word, practically this one, leaky gut, leaky gut. And everyone keeps hearing candida or yeast, okay? Those are candida's been trendy for 25 years, and I'm glad it came into, at least that, I think at this point in my industry I've been in. Leaky gut's a little newer, and it's becoming kind of mainstream, and I'm glad this stuff's getting attention, but it's getting a little overplayed. People are overestimating the value of candida at this point, but we have to go back to getting the gut to communicate properly, and it comes down to this. Oh, my dog, Cookie, it's fine. There should be roughly 20,000 different species of bacteria in your gut, and different species, and some yeast in there too. They're supposed to be in there. 20,000 different species. Everyone has become totally into, which is a good thing, the idea that probiotics came along, that the idea was, oh, bacteria can be good for you. Oh, we should repopulate. Oh my, we shouldn't just be taking antibiotics for every sniffle that we have. Oops. So take probiotics. Well, the probiotics problem is most have somewhere between 3 and 5 species in a bottle. And even if you rotated through all the different brands that are out there, the most you're going to get, if you're lucky, is 45 different types of strains. There's 19,000 different species. What? So you're taking mega doses, these 25, 30 billion of, 2 or 3 different strains. And I have some clients that come in and I ask them how long they've been taking something. They've been taking the same probiotic for 5, 6, 7 years. What? That's a problem. So what you've just done is create a massive dysbiosis. You've created a major monoculture. You've only got you have no normal balance. You've got this thing overgrown over here, and this down here. Nobody can actually communicate properly. Everything's supposed to be in a certain balance. So the new big thing, people were diagnosing it all the time nowadays, is SIBO. What's that? Small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. So bacteria overgrowth is becoming the really big thing, and many candida gut diagnoses are really bacterial overgrowth issues, because there's some few things in there. If E. coli and Pseudomonas or something, they overgrow, that's nasty. That's not good, right? But 20,000 different species, they're all keeping themselves in check, but they've lost that. So you've been guzzling down for years. It's everywhere. The same few strains over and over. People are coming into me thinking they're doing the right thing, and they're spending a lot of money on probiotics, not cheap. And I tell them, stop taking them. And they're like, what? I'm like, you've been taking it for how long? Stop taking it. So I used to always suggest probiotics. I'm not saying I never do, but it's gotten overdone. People are not rotating them properly. And ideally, you shouldn't have to keep pumping them in an unnatural state if you can put back in what will help them communicate with each other properly, grow themselves the way they're supposed to. It's their network of communication that has gotten completely destroyed because we've completely destroyed the soil and their normal ability to go in there and fix themselves. So a product that we've been telling people to use in the office for probably about 5-6 months at this point, that at this point I'm completely beyond sold on because I've been using it clinically and the results are astounding and the research behind it is ridiculous. So it's a product that's been taken out of the ground 50 million years ago. So it's a carbon molecule that the bacteria produce. The bacteria that were in the soil 50 million years ago and longer have this ability to communicate. And if we take it back, we get it into our guts, it will increase the ability of all those bacteria to communicate with each other yet again. And you won't need to take a bunch of probiotics anymore because they will naturally be able to finally talk to each other in the manner to which they were designed before we started poisoning ourselves. So you let them talk to each other, let them work each other out. They find the bad guys. They're like, stop growing. They find the good guys. They're like, oh man, here's some food. Let's get going. So once the gut has a normal way of communicating with each other via the 20,000 species that are supposed to be in there, not 5 to 10 that are on overdrive in a monoculture, right? So I'm a little bit done with the massive probiotic use all over the place. It's a time and a place for that. But don't think you're actually solving your gut problem by guzzling down these expensive probiotics. You're not. So the product is called Restore. It's a lignite extract that's been taken out of the ground 50 million years ago. You can look it up. For people in Atlanta, we have it in our office. We run sales a lot, but you go to their website, Restore. I'll probably try to put the link down below this later. So you want to get that gut communication going again. That's the best thing. It does a lot more than that, but ultimately it allows the bugs in your body, which are these amazing creatures that have agreed. We've had this host relationship. Like, you know what? We're going to take on this work for you if you just keep us alive. We're like, cool. Well, we just been killing them. So now they're like, screw you. So they're dying. They can't handle, we can't use their DNA anymore. We've been killing them with antibiotics, herbicides, pesticides, Roundup, glyphosate, chlorine, and we just kill them. Dial soap. They just took triclosan, which is a dangerous antibiotic. They just quietly took that, made it illegal, being pulled out of all the products except toothpaste. So real quiet on that. They didn't tell everybody that they did it. It's like, oops, we're sorry what you did to you for the last 20 years, so we're just going to remove it. We made it illegal. We're not going to tell you what you actually did to your children. Good luck with that, But Restore is a way of creating that communication within those bacteria yet again and allowing them to naturally work out what they need to work out, kill what they need to kill, grow what they need to grow. So then we have available to us the 3.5 million other genes to access as we were designed to do to get done what we need to get done. So we got the gut, we got to restore that communication. We have the cell, we have to restore the communication of that mitochondria, which is this other bug that lives within our cells that's controlling everything and just tells the DNA what to do, gives us all our energy for every interaction in life is ATP related. That's the only thing we use for energy. Glucose and ketones, that's secondary. It's ATP, period. People think glucose and ketones. It's ATP. It's all you actually use. And you need this mitochondria to make it. So you need a lot of them, and you need them strong, and you need them to have a healthy cell membrane. And if they're going to kill themselves in an apoptosis way because the cell is cancerous, they have to be able to communicate that to the cell to tell it to do it. Can't do it if there's chronic inflammation, which is all chronic inflammation is a loss in communication inside that cell because the cell membranes are so toxic. They're so damaged. So that's been coming up constantly. People think, I'm going to get this thing because it's in my DNA and I'm controlled by it. Well, I'm here to tell you, now they know roughly 1% or so is the number they think you are who you are because of your DNA. The other 99% is coming from the 3.5 million genes that are carried within all the microbes on you and within you. And yet we've been attacking and destroying the things that are here to save us, to make us function normally, to allow us to have an immune response normally, to methylate all our B vitamins. It's mind-blowing to me to realize that the mitochondria are really one of those microbes that has hitched a ride, and we've made this a beautiful arrangement, and we've been so efficient to say we only need 22,000 genes actually, because we have millions upon us, and we can just utilize that. We're that efficient with it, and yet when you kill it and you lose the communication, you're no longer able to function properly. So that's come up a lot in terms of people are on probiotics constantly, and it's just endless, and you're really destroying your gut most of the time. I'm a huge fan of Restore. Look that up because it's re-establishing the communication at the biophysics level, the actual structural. I don't want to get into it, but it's like almost brings me to tears. That's the dog, sorry. And the communication of the mitochondria within the cell and the cellular communication. Everything is a network of communication. If it comes down to you have adrenal insufficiency and I need to run a hormone panel. Maybe. Because all people want to do is kind of go after, well, let's put a bunch of herbs in on the adrenals. And you probably need to do that if you have that. But you got to go up and look at the hypothalamus and then look at the pituitary, and it's a communication, and then how it goes over to the liver, and it's all what is happening in the communication. That's what matters. It's all about being connected and integrated, and I think from the inside cellular level to how we are out with each other. The worst thing as people get older, the most important factor in their health outcomes is if they have a sense of connection with other people and their community. It's connection. We're covered in other living beings inside and outside that are here to work with us, to keep us alive. We need each other. I need all those microbes. And I have to get them back. I need them to be able to communicate. I need all the phone lines need to be good. Just like I need you all. I need people. I need that connection. So DNA is basically bullshit. Get the inflammation down in your body via, there's a lot of ways we can do it, but inflammation is a breakdown in communication. Communication and connection is the key of everything, and it's happening at the cell membrane level, and it's happening at the microbe level. Big time. Stop letting people tell you, oh, this is just how it is, I guess I'm going to get it too. No. Not even close to true. 1% of your DNA, 1% is really controlling who you are. That's nothing. The Human Genome Project was actually a total bust. And now they have working on the Human Microbiome Project because they realize the bugs are more important. So you're a big conglomeration of a whole bunch of little invisible creatures having a good old time. Let them talk to each other because they're actually smarter than you, I think. So that's what I'm trying to do. So there's that. Ask me any questions below, and I can get to them and ask them later. Thanks.